and welcome back to the channel with your host, the man with the face for radio and the voice for mime work. Welcome back. As you can see, I am able to do something different with my phone this time, and the program I usually use to record myself talk on my phone, I can use the camera to see what's in front of me. So now you can see what I see as I drive and talk. Bunch of woodland, farmland, and other abandoned little sections between towns which are all dying around me. Nice, right? Anywho, as you can see, I have my favorite character ever from Scooby-Doo on my phone. The man, the myth, the legend himself, the man who's got the pictures, and I strive to be like him one day. That's my life goal. Anywho, let's go ahead and cover something right now, which I haven't made a video on, even though I've tried a few times. Haven't done it because of laziness and just overall me not formatting it, well, making a script or finding the time to actually do it and not get sidetracked. Let's talk about Oblivion Remastered. To start off with, I need to say this loud and proud so that someone who honestly argued with me for no fucking reason. I'm cussing now because I know this video isn't getting monetized and it's fine. But someone who argued with me about something that was just an opinion, an offhand comment, to the point where that friendship is burnt to ash and it's never coming back. I just want to say, if he happens to watch this, wow, look at that. I was right. It's almost as if I understand what I talk about when I make opinions or, say things that are just interesting little things I say. Bethesda released an Elder Scrolls game without mod support. Now, to explain this, because I'm sure if he does happen to listen to this, and I'm pretty sure other people who listen to this don't fully understand Oblivion Remastered. It uses Gamebryo as its engine, with Unreal Engine on top to filter through the graphics. So all the textures and stuff are basically running through a layer of Unreal Engine sitting on top of Gamebryo. That's the best way to describe what's going on there. Gamebryo uses all mods and stuff as plugins. And as long as it doesn't use a script extender, you can plug in all the old mods from Oblivion, from Nexus, and it will work. As long as they don't need a script extender. The script extender for Oblivion Remastered is out now, has been out. It was out like the day of the game being released because it's just a retooled version of the original script extender for Oblivion. And most of the mods that need scripts are fully functional and can just easily go over. A few of them have to be retooled, but other modders are taking it up and retooling them to make them work, or adding patches that make them work. So, my step one of my theory of Bethesda slowly pushing the modding community away from their game is already in effect. They have released a game, might as well be considered a modern game for the Elder Scrolls, with no mod support. That's in place, and they already still have Bethesda.net and all the other modding platform, their main modding platform for console and PC that lets you mod their games, or at least upload your mods for your games and download the mods for your games through. There's not much. All you have to do is put a toolkit that is only available through their own website as either a downloaded license required to it or a browser-based mod kit, which they can do. They have the technology. And then Bethesda has successfully locked away their game into only approved stuff, so they don't have to, be outshined, and outplayed by those who actually care about making good content for free. Enough about that. Oblivion Remastered is looking to be a great game. I've seen clips of it here and there. I haven't really watched much of a stream beside one guy I watched about an hour and a half of, and then that's about it. Zarek Sahafaron. For those who don't know who Zarek Sahafaron is, I recommend finding his videos. The easiest way to find him is If Skyrim Was Good video series. And it's a pretty good series. He also covers Morrowind, Oblivion, and a few other things. He also goes over the metaphysical lore of Elder Scrolls, which that itself is amazing because it also shines a light on other debate that's going on that came back from Skyrim's past with Oblivion, which is Stormcloak or Imperial. But now they frame the Stormcloaks as, if you went for Stormcloaks, you're a racist, you're a Trump supporter, you're MAGA, go find the nearest cliff and jump. While, yes, on the outside, the Stormcloaks are rough, and they do want Skyrim to be for the Nords, they don't want Skyrim just for the Nord people. They want Skyrim to be governed and ran by the Nords, so the Nords can have a say in their own life. It's basically someone coming in and saying, hey, you know what you've been doing for the last 100+ years, few hundred years, 1,000 years? Yeah, you can't do that anymore, because these pointy ear guys here say you can't. Bye. By the way, we're also going to come in and start taking all your resources to fund a war and also to pay a tax to the long-eared enemy that you spent the better part of like 10 years fighting. But not even 10 years. You've spent the better part of a few years fighting before a 10-year, peace that has slowly drained the resources of your land. Oh, by the way, also letting the long-eared guys come into your territory, come in your home, come in through your cities, and also take away anyone who even says the word Talos, if they're allowed in the city. Have fun. While the Thalmor aren't in many cities to start off the game with, in Skyrim, they are patrolling the roads and going through different areas. They have an embassy outside of Solitude, which... yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just an embassy. There's a mod that someone made which adds more to everything. And that mod may as well be canon. It's not canon, but it may as well be canon where Thalmor actually have a base operation where they take people suspect to be Talos worshippers or Axel worshippers and torture them to find out where more people who still believe in Talos are located. To give you an idea why Stormcloaks need to win the war, is because Talos. Talos is the embodiment of Lorkhan, embodiment of Shore, and without the belief in Talos, Lorkhan, Shore, the power that binds the mortal plane starts to break down, making it easier for it to be stripped away, let the heart of Lorkhan be destroyed. Well, the plane gets destroyed first, and then the heart of Lorkhan gets destroyed, which would disrupt the plane of Mundus, which will allow everything, all mortals just to disappear. They're gone. None are left. The only thing that will be left be greater spirits, potentially the Daedra. At least, the Daedra might be fine. A few of the Aedra, if they were strong enough, if they had enough power before Mundus disappears, and greater spirits that retained most of their power, or Elnafey. Elnafey being the spirits that lost their divinity and have essentially started to make the elves, the Mer and the Mer, essentially. The direct ancestors of the Mer. So, yeah, more likely the Thalmor are controlled by either Elnafey or someone who thinks they're an Elnafey, or because the Thalmor the High Elves, and by extension the Thalmor, canonically practice eugenics, there's a good chance that they just believe they have pure enough blood to ascend when the world gets destroyed, and they don't. Will this be a plot point picked up in the next game? Probably not. Honestly, to be with you, it probably won't be, because Bethesda's full of crap. It's just a bunch of cowards. So, yeah. Overall, in the short term, the Empire is okay to side with because it lets the Empire be able to hold more soldiers, get more resources, have access to 3 port cities in Storm and Skyrim, and potentially just keep trade routes open with High Rock easier, and maybe branch out and start retaking land and helping Morrowind and to slowly rebuild the Empire. That's if they're able to keep the Ultimate Dominion Thalmor from just sabotaging and killing everyone. Highly doubtful. But without the power of Talos being restored and the faith slowly being drained away from the forgotten Ninth Divine by that point, Talos might not have enough power to bring forth another champion, at least not a strong enough champion to completely stop the elves from ending Mundus. By the way, that's what you are in Skyrim. You are an Avatar Shore. That's what you potentially are in Oblivion, an Avatar Shore, Lorcan, Talos. That's what you are. That's what Pelennor Whitestrake, the Crusader you embody at one point, Mantle, in Oblivion. That's what you are. That's what he was, a Avatar Shore Lorcan. Though in Oblivion it can be argued that you are actually just a creation of Sheogorath, that you are just a fragment of him that he broke off at some point, knowing the Great March is coming, to reabsorb him and stop the Great March cycle altogether. So there's all kinds of things of what you possibly were in Oblivion. But the main issue I have with people comparing Stormcloaks to the Republican Party, yes, we're getting political, because why not? Look at this guy. Look at the guy on the screen. Do you think he cares? Nah, man, he loves it. There's not enough, really, there's only a few wordings and only a few things said between the two groups that actually can connect, and everything else is just people screaming what they want you to believe each group is about. The Stormcloaks are racist. No, they're not racist. They want their land to be controlled by the Nords, and they don't want the High Elves to have a say in anything, to the point where they will, if they could, openly go full hostile on some High Elves. Though you can be a High Elf and be a Stormcloak. Oh, that's just North stuff for gameplay mechanics. Is it? Seriously, you're High Elf, but you're showing signs of the Dragonborn, which means Talos has chosen you to come to them. Honestly, that is, if you're going for the whole Talos needs to be preserved thing, that's like the perfect thing for a Stormcloak to see. Like, okay, it's a High Elf, so we should hate it, but Talos obviously gave this High Elf their blessing. Weird, right? Once again, getting the canon stuff of Skyrim and any of the other games is difficult because there's so much stuff that breaks other canon. But moving on, the Stormcloaks don't have really any racism to them. They mainly probably just want Nords to be in power and control the cities, but that's about it, because it's tradition. They're open to new ideas, and hell, they're not openly hostile to most people because they let refugees live in their capital, the capital of the Stormcloak Rebellion. Do they have to let the Dark Elves live there? No, they could have kicked the Dark Elves out and let them freeze to death outside. Do they put the Dark Elves to work? No. The Dark Elves are free to own shops and do other stuff for people. They live in the slums. Are you sure they live in the slums? And it's not just the only place they had open to have people live in? Large enough, because that's kind of what happens when refugees come to a city. They end up going to what's available. Most of the time, it's slums. Look at California. When new people come to the city, they don't get new housing. Well, unless you're from. We're not going that political. We're not doing that. We're not doing that political today. But yes, it makes sense for them to live in an area that's not as well maintained. Not to mention, if you actually understand the history of Windhelm, it's a really old city. and it would cost a lot for them to renovate and tear down the massive fortification wall to expand the city and rebuild some of those houses, because some of those houses are built into the wall and the foundation, into the protection of the city itself. You can't just expand that or easily repair it. You gotta tear it down. Moving on to the Imperials, though, the Empire, they're just not a good side to side with long term. While yes, they would keep the Empire together, but the Empire is fading. The Empire has lost most of its territory. Hammerfell is free. It was cut loose from the Empire so they could defend themselves, and the Army of Dominion would just back off a little bit. Black Marsh has not been contacted in possibly 200 years. I don't know the full lore of Black Marsh, I admit that now, but Black Marsh is already a place that you couldn't really go too far into anyway without dying. So most of the areas that were Empire controlled were on the very border of Black Marsh. So other than those few little fortifications and towns, that Black Marsh is pretty much untouched by the Empire and the Army of Dominion. Elsewhere was taken by the Army of Dominion. They kind of had no choice and just joined. And the Army of Dominion helped perform a coup that had Vollenwood fall into the Army of Dominion as well. So, what's left for the Empire? Cyrodiil, High Rock, the scattered remains of Morrowind, because, volcano going boom, Vex City going splat, and unknown chaos running through the lands. Argonians potentially running through and beating down some Dark Elves, because they got tired of being taken as slaves again. And Skyrim. Those are the 4 territories that still are part of the Empire, with one being pretty much unfunctional. One in open rebellion, and one so far away from the main central part of the Empire that it might as well not be part of the Empire as well, because its trade routes are pretty much destroyed. Between Reachmen, there are a problem. Attacking trade routes going from near High Rock and Skyrim, you can imagine that trying to get anything to the Empire is difficult, because how do they get things to the Empire if they can't go through land? They go through the ocean. And the Gold Coast is one port, Anvil, and the other one is the Imperial City itself, which you have to go really close to Artmillion controlled land and travel next to Artmillion controlled land until you get to where you need to go for the Empire, and that is a lot of smoke up ahead. Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna drive through that, so wish me luck. Oh my. So this is a controlled burn on the side of the road, I hope. Never mind. I don't know. There's no one tending that fire. So that's probably just a random fire someone started. Great. That's great. Oh, no, it is controlled burn. I just saw someone pop out off the side of the road with a tractor to go to tend the fire. Okay, well, good. It's not going to burn down half of Georgia. Oh, my fun times out here in the country. But anyway, oh my goodness. But anyway, back to, everything Elder Scrolls related. The biggest issue with trying to pick which side to side with of Skyrim is that both sides have their flaws. Just that one's faction, its flaws are more pronounced immediately up front, while the other one you have to actually understand more of the lore to begin to understand why its flaws are terrible. Very, very bad. And that was probably done by design to a degree. But then again, Skyrim was made a while ago and released November 11th, 2011. years before the Donald Trumpster won office for the first time. So people, and unfortunately, because people aren't too smart on the internet when it comes to political opinions, for some reason, some people making TikTok videos think that Skyrim was made during the 2020s because the anniversary edition came out. To the point where some people thought there is legitimately people who think the Civil War questline was made just to make fun of Trump. I'm not kidding you. That is legitimately a thing some people think. Whew boy, we live in an idiocracy, and we're not escaping that anytime soon. But going back to the original topic, Oblivion Remastered. I am looking forward to actually trying the remastered at some point. I have new computer parts, so I can actually, probably run the game if I get it. That's the issue with my computer. It's running really, really old parts, and I finally got new ones, and in the process of me trying to figure out which hard drive was my C drive, so when I get ready to swap the thing over, I can make sure I can boot the C drive up first, so I can then begin setting up everything else I need to set up. I accidentally didn't realize that two of my hard drives were set up where they were. Somehow, I'm sure I was told by the last time my computer messed up after I tried upgrading it that two of my drives were linked in such a way that if one powers on without the other, it wipes the one it will wipe the one that's not powered on when it gets plugged back in. I don't know if that's something that can be done. I just know that I unplugged one, I plugged it back in, and it was wiped. I unplugged the other one, I plugged it back in, and it was wiped. I couldn't access it anymore. So I don't know. It's probably something it's probably a problem I'm describing incorrectly, and that's not what happened. All I know is I had to reformat, and I spent about almost an hour trying to figure out how to make it where my computer could keep seeing the hard drives after I reformatted and renamed them. I figured that out, got it working, and I was so happy when I got it working. Unfortunately, I lost a bunch of stuff in both of those hard drives, but thankfully, one hard drive was mainly just Warcraft related stuff and Blizzard stuff. The other one was where I kept a lot of things I was making. So, audios and videos for videos that never made it to YouTube, that I had to go back through and edit at some point, or listen to and actually make a video out of it. PDFs of Warhammer books I got from a Humble Bundle years ago, that I finally made a Humble Bundle account so I could see what all I had, and thankfully it all saved to my email address, which I didn't know Humble Bundle did that way back then, because I have a game that I bought a long time ago that Humble Bundle apparently linked to my email address, so when I made an account, I got access to the game again, so that was great. A few other free games I downloaded over the years, gone, but because I haven't played them for so long, I don't even remember what they are. And OBS, other things I use, basically side programs I use that I need to store somewhere out of the way. Thankfully, though, my 2 terabyte hard drive that stores everything Steam related was untouched. Yay. And speaking of old technology, which is really fun, I still have my Xbox 360 working. The original Xbox I had was the arcade edition, but it read Ring of Death not even a year after I got it. Was it a year? It might have been a year after I got it that it red ringed. I got a new one because my parents bought the warranty for it, and it just fell within the warranty, so we got another one. But I've had it since high school, so it's 20 years old, and my Xbox is still running. So that's pretty neat, right? Over 20 years old and still running. I've been playing Oblivion on my Xbox 360 as well. I've been playing on PC with a few mods installed, and I've been playing on my Xbox with just all the DLC installed. I didn't realize that I didn't have all DLC working on the Xbox. That's the problem. That's one issue with the Xbox 360 that almost no one knows anymore. Is that the Xbox 360 is offline, has no service connected to it. So whatever you had downloaded, that's it. That's all you have downloaded. You can't, if you erase it, it's gone forever. And unfortunately, a lot of the content you would download for Xbox 360 had an issue. And that issue is sometimes it just would not work. So you had to delete it and then re-download it. Those of you who played Halo 3, every time there was a major update, there was a chance that one of your DLCs might break. One of your map packs might break. I think that's recording. I can't tell if this thing's recording or not. It's still recording. Huh, surprised. Sorry, I had to check that to see if it was recording. You saw my Nokia stock. Don't tell anyone. But, because there was no more servers, no way for me to easily download and put stuff back on my Xbox without having to modify it, I was kind of upset Saturday. Because I realized I didn't have my Fighter's Keep, or my Simmering Isles, or my Knights of the Nine, or anything else working. I thought, okay, maybe it's just one character save, because I made a new character. My son helped me design it and give the name to it, and he told me what he wanted me to pick for his skills and everything else. And it's just a fun little thing. Well, when I went to my main character, the character my original character that has over 300 hours on him, of course, a good chunk of those hours are missing. No. He has 92 hours saved on him, but I undoubtedly spent closer to 150, 200 hours on him, just from stuff that I didn't save, or going back and trying something different for a few hours and giving up on it, and then reverting back to save. Having fun with the game. My character was missing all his gear, and he had gear. The gear he wore was from the Malakton assassin you find in the Mehrunes Dagon dungeon. And he also used for his weapon was the sword that could switch from day or night depending on you got from Simmering Isles for doing that torture dungeon thing. Always a fun time. Well, trying to find a fix for that was difficult because no one had really tried to figure this out over the last few years. The only people who have who were doing something similar were doing it on Xbox One, linking their old Microsoft account to their Xbox One and re-downloading stuff they already downloaded. I was trying to do it for Xbox 360, trying to get old stuff I downloaded to work again. Oh my goodness, scam. My first attempt was trying to just see what was there, and all my DLC was still there, so I tried moving all the DLC over to a USB drive, and then deleting the original, then copying the stuff back over. I did it with a save file just to make sure it could work like that, and it did. The save file came back without being corrupted. So I moved the DLC over, brought it back, and didn't fix the issue. So I spent another 30 minutes sitting there messing around on different forums trying to find something. And that's when I saw a post from 2013. Someone saying, oh, yeah, I had a problem with my Oblivion, so I used the Game of the Year edition disc, and I re-downloaded the Game of the Year disc, and all my DLC came back and worked. At least some of the ones that weren't working to begin with. Apparently, for those of you who have a 360 and still have Oblivion, or maybe also Fallout and a few other games that came with it that you could download DLC for, and then a Game of the Year edition came out later that had more content to download from a second disc. if you if you use that second disc and re-download the content on that second disc to your Xbox to enable the DLC, it will force the other DLC you have installed to re-register itself with the game. And that's how I managed to get all my DLC working again. If not, then there'll be giant chunks of the game that will be forever missing, and there would be no way for me to get it back, because they never made a version of Oblivion that contained all the DLC for Xbox. You had to buy Game of the Year edition, and then you could get the DLC through microtransactions using Microsoft points, which sucked. Anyway, we're getting close to the end of this little drive. I'm coming up on where I need to go, which, depending on whether or not I'm there, will determine whether or not I am continuing to talk. So we'll give it a minute. But yes, there's other things I want to try doing with my Xbox 360. I have a copy of Fallout New Vegas Game of the Year Edition, which contains all the DLC, including all the different pre-order bonuses that you get depending on where you got your pre-order from. You know, that thing. My parents gave... means I have 3 copies of Fallout New Vegas. I have one for PC from Steam. I have one that came in a metal case my parents gave me for Christmas like the year or two after New Vegas came out. Then again, I didn't really like the game back then. I don't know why I didn't play more of it. It could be because I just wasn't interested in New Vegas until much later. No one's here. Great. But now I have a third copy I found at a card shop, kind of near where I live, and they also had a bunch of video games, and I happened to look and saw New Vegas and saw that they had the Game of the Year edition that contained all the DLC, and it comes with a second disc that has all the DLC on it. So I now know if I have a problem like this again with the New Vegas version, I can just plug in the DLC and be good to go. I might try to get a Game of the Year edition version of Fallout 3. I might. And I might also try getting a Game of the Year edition for the 360 for Skyrim as well, because I am missing one DLC for Skyrim, that's Dragonborn. Because by the time Dragonborn came out, I had Skyrim on my PC fully functional. So I kind of stopped playing on 360. Anyway, I think that's me done for right now, talking about various updates and covering things. It seems that if I don't try to focus on a topic early on, I'm able to keep talking longer. Also, probably because I am severely deprived of sleep. I went to bed around 3:15, 3:20 last night, and woke up at 6:45 this morning. And that's 2 nights in a row I've done that, so I'm sleep deprived, but I feel fine. I don't know. I do know if I get back in this habit of sleeping the way I am, I'm gonna end up crashing again. Not crashing the car, but having a complete crash and just sleeping. The last time it got that bad was me doing it for about 3 weeks, and I just could not. I just could not stay awake, and I had to miss work that day because I just could not stay awake. I didn't get to sleep at home either because my son was sick that day, so I got to hear him scream most of the day, and that was not fun. Anywho, thanks for watching. Remember, no matter what happens, I've got pictures. I don't know where I was going with that. Outro, catch line, something. Didn't work. Have fun.